Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is actor Lionel Mark Smith and composer Lucia Hwong. I know you'll enjoy these talented guests. Lucia Hwong has created music for theater, film, television, and concert stage. She was born in Hawaii and raised in Los Angeles. Lucia studied Chinese classical music at UCLA and was in the Columbia University Master's Program in Ethnomusicology. What do you learn in ethnomusicology?
Well, at UCLA we had a wonderful time. We had teachers coming in from Bali, from West Africa, and we learned music from all these different countries and performed different music from different countries, and music and dance, which I love. So
it's actually ethnic? Is that the
right
portion of it, ethnic music?
Right. We learned about the different instrumentations, the different instruments, and then over the years what I've done is incorporate the different instruments, say from Bali, from China, from Japan, from Haiti, and then combine it with violins, a full orchestra. And I've written a piece about like the LA riots, which I use the Haitian rhythms.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So actually the whole influence is, the basis of your influence comes from this type of class, ethnomusicology, or from all that group of what you were talking about.
Right.
Now, you brought a music video, so to speak, or is it a music video?
Right, it's a music video. I have 2 CDs are out on private music, and we took one of the pieces and created a music video.
So we're going to see a little bit of that. Does that have a combination of all these things?
Yes, that has a combination of synthesizers, Japanese drums, shakuhachi, lute, and the whole gamut's thrown in there.
And you're featured. Are you featured singing or playing an instrument?
I'm featured playing in the video.
Okay, great. Let's see that right now.
Okay.
You play and write that music so beautifully, but do you also sing, since your grandmother was a grande dame in the Chinese opera?
Well, at 6 years old, actually, she heard me singing. She said, well, stick to instruments. I don't think you have the voice. So actually, I've been actually having some wonderful singers, like from the Philip Glass Ensemble, doing the soprano parts, and I wrote an operatic section, and beautiful coloratura, sopranos have been performing it. So,
did you ever go to China to see the places where your grandmother had performed?
Oh yes, I did, and it was so emotional for me because she had told me these great stories. She was like a George Sand type of character. She used to dress in men's clothing.
Oh, she did. Oh, for the opera?
Well, not. Oh, she sang the men's roles, but then to go and to do the things she wanted to do. Women weren't allowed that much freedom. So she used to dress as a man and then just you know, go to the theater, hang out in certain places, and
Really?
that was her passport. And later I found that she used to wear hats, and she wore them so well. And she said, yes, those are from the days when I used to dress like a guy. She knew exactly how to pull it on her head to look just right. And she taught us a lot of interesting things about, you know, knowledge, and that's the way to, you know, open the doors.
So she, even if the doors were closed to women at that
Yeah.
time, she found a way to do it.
Right, right. Because actually, her father used to like to go to the horse races, and she told me that she was the favorite of her father. And in order for her to go to the horse races at 6 and 7, they used to take off all her jewelry and dress her up as a little boy.
Oh, is that right?
So she found out that's the way, you know, not to get any flack and do what you want to do.
And then her daughter is your mother, Lisa
Yes,
Liu, a
yes.
really international
Film
actress.
actress, yes. She's in the Joy Luck Club. She plays An Mei, one of the mothers who brings the feather over from China.
Oh, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
story, part of it. Did you, were you cast, or did you go to an open cast call for the Joy Luck Club?
Well, they called me and, you know, asked me to read for one of the parts and things like that. But I'm glad of, you know, the people, my friends who are in the film. I think they did a great job, and I think it's a wonderful picture. And you know, we're all sad that it didn't get more
Right.
nominations.
It
But
did. It was a beautiful film.
oh, well,
And-
completely tearjerker.
Totally. The other thing, you have such a, you're so
Yeah.
known for your music and for your composing and for your scoring of so many films. You also act.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I asked you if you had auditioned for the Joy Luck Club.
Oh, well, when I'm invited to act in a piece, of course I do.
But
You
what
know, it's
about
more fun?
Lotus? I think we have a clip from Lotus,
Oh,
which
yes.
is a film that you acted in and you also scored the music.
Right, right. That was a film directed by Arthur Dong, and was done as an AFI, American Film Institute project, and we shot it in Hong Kong. And the story is about a woman who has a young girl, a child, and she is faced with the dilemma to bind her feet, which will cripple her, and it's near the turn of the century. So it's that new idea of emancipation, and when she, in the end, gives up her child so that she doesn't have to.
You play the role of the mother, who
yes.
gives up the child. But this is so the emancipation part of it, and
Right.
the whole woman, strong woman,
Right,
is what
right.
you've always been brought up with.
Right, so I always love working on projects like that, which, you know, enlighten that whole struggle women have been going through.
We're going to see that
Okay.
too, and then we're going to talk about all the other things
All
you've
right.
done. So this is Lotus, starring Lucia Hwong.
I want you to go after your own boats now. Don't wait for people to help you. Figure out how to do things for yourself.
Promise you'll come soon? Say it.
I promise.
You know, the music is so haunting. Do you dream about it? It sounds like you're dreaming this music.
Well, it's true. It's true. Sometimes it's like When the piece I scored, Silver Lake, I also worked on Silver Lake Life, which won Best Documentary at Sundance last year, and it's about a love story about two men with AIDS, and both of them have passed away now. And when I see the clips, it's true. I mean, all this, I hear the music, I think about the people, I think about, you know, what are they feeling, and I just try to just, you know, tune into it and then bring it out through the
The first time I really ever heard about, I had heard about you, I don't know how, in Los Angeles, but the first time I saw you was on stage in M Butterfly.
Ah.
And I was looking, and you were actually on the stage playing an instrument. I don't know, was it like a violin?
My lute.
It was your lute.
Yes.
So tell us how you started working with Henry Hwang, and have you collaborated with him before?
Yes, we did several projects at the New York Shakespeare Festival, the Public Theater in New York, and that was FOB's Sound and Beauty, and then at one point he said, you want to do this piece for Broadway, M Butterfly, that I wrote. You know, John Dexter, who's a wonderful director whom I admired over the years, you know, from all his opera directing, he said, you know, come and work on it. So we did, and I got to incorporate like jazz, violin, and Japanese instruments, Chinese instruments, and use some of the music of Puccini, and it was like, oh, it was so exciting.
It was great. The play was already written, so you came in and listened to what was going on and then did your music, is that?
Yes, and David's very musical. He plays violin. He actually plays on my records.
Oh,
and
he
then
does?
we began to talk about how to, you know, link all the different segments of the different countries and the different time periods and do that musically, and that was, very, very exciting.
Did you work with him in Los Angeles or just in New York?
Mostly in New York right now, but we're going to be working on future projects too.
You worked on stage, well, you did Twilight, which was a story of the riots with Anne Devere Smith.
That's right.
And it was fabulous, and the music was great, and that's when I discovered you again. But you weren't on stage at that time.
No, I did that all through computers and electronic music and incorporating Haitian rhythms, the Haitian revolutionary rhythms into the music, and all that was taped, and then we were changing every time the show would change. We'd just run back to the studio and write a new piece of music, throw it in for that night's show. That was exciting.
Before we leave, what did you do? What do you do for the concert stage? What would that? We know films, and we know theater, and we know that. What is concert stage?
Concert stage, I've been writing symphonic pieces, and then also I'm going to be doing the whole LA Wright Symphony as a complete piece and have it performed, hopefully, you know, by the Philharmonics in New York and Los Angeles, San Francisco. And then I'm going to be going back to New York to orchestrate a Cole Porter's Aladdin.
Oh,
and we
really?
hopefully will bring that to Broadway also in the near future. You know, it's the fundraising time, doing all those things.
Yes,
but I think it's so exciting.
Really, and that means you've crossed all the lines, all the barriers, from ethnomusicology to Cole Porter.
Yeah, I love Cole Porter, and then and also working on projects like such as the Twilight, you know, about the riots and AIDS programs and, you know, girl gangs, and I think anything that you know, stimulates your mind perception is something to, you know, delve into, dive into.
Well, you've really opened our eyes today, and I know you've opened the viewers' eyes. The music has been wonderful, and I think every time you hear something like that now, we're going to think of Lucia Hwong.
Oh, Joan.
Yes, and thank you for being with us.
Okay, this was really wonderful.
Good. Don't go away, because we're going to be right back with Lionel Mark Smith. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn. We're back with actor Lionel Mark Smith. Lonnie, as he said I could call him, created quite a stir in Los Angeles when he was cast in the role of the white college professor in David Mamet's play, Oleana. Chicago native Smith is no newcomer to the stage. He's appeared on Broadway in Mulebone, has worked in many off-Broadway plays, in television series, and has had many feature films to his credit. But how did you start acting?
Well, I started acting in grade school, actually, because I was so rambunctious, and I was reading before I entered school, the little golden nursery books, so I had to jump on the kids, and to keep me quiet, the teacher would let me read these stories, and I'd play all the characters and read, and I did the variety shows at school, and
is that right?
Yes, eventually I joined a college community theater group in my neighborhood.
I think this is so great. I have all these brilliant people on the show all the time. Reading in kindergarten or reading at that point?
Yes.
So you've been reading scripts ever since?
I've been reading scripts for a long time.
What was your first big break? Was it on the stage or in film?
That's a good question. My first big break. What was my first big? Was on stage. Sizwe Banzi is Dead, the Otto Fugard play, and The Island, which I did with a great actor by the name of Meshach Taylor, who your television audience may know from Dave's World and Designing Women, late of Designing Women. And he and Greg Mosier and I did this production, and it was really good for me.
Fugard's play, was it at the Westwood Theater?
Yes, it was. Eventually it was at Westwood, but it originated at the Goodman Theater in Chicago.
Oh, you started it in Chicago.
Yes.
I read some of the reviews, and they said you were absolutely brilliant in that, and they picked you from that play, and I guess, as you say, that was a big break.
Well, actually, Greg Mosier, who directed it, had become the artistic director of the Goodman Theater, and he was smart enough to make David Mamet his assistant associate director.
So we're talking way back.
You're talking way back. You're talking 20 years or so.
So these things don't happen overnight, do they?
No, they don't. It takes 15 or 20 years to have a career in this business.
What about, how do you compare stage to stage to theater, stage to film?
Well, film is the director's medium. Stage belongs to the actor. I love the theater. I love the fact that the people are there. It's immediate. They respond as soon as you put it out there. The cast is, the audience is actually another cast member on stage. Film is sort of mechanical. You sit around and you wait, and it's all done by someone else.
But you say the directors. How do you feel about certain directors? Do you long to be directed by certain directors?
Of course. Are you kidding? I'll work with Spielberg anytime. I love David Mamet's direction. David is very, I've done 2 films with David. He's very casual. Casual meaning he's not uptight. He knows everything. He'll walk up and thank the extras by first name.
That's great.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Bill, for being in my movie. It's like, how did he know these people?
That's great.
He's very comfortable to work with.
How did he make the transition from stage? I always think of him as stage director.
I don't know. He's just, I think David is just one of these people that he knows what his gifts are. He knows how to communicate with people, and he likes people.
Were you directed by him on stage as well?
I've never been directed by David on stage.
Oh, I see. But nevertheless, even in some of the things I've been reading, they say you're part of the Mamet Mafia.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's just a group of us, those of us who have been fortunate enough to work in his films and his plays, who come from the South Side of Chicago. We just sort of hung together.
So you were pinpointed. It's all Chicago stuff.
Well, some of them came from New Jersey and New York, and we gathered people as we go along like a snowball going down the mountain. But basically, it's the Chicago connection. We're also called the Goodman Mafia.
Oh, excuse me.
The Goodman School of Drama. Yeah.
But that's a long period of time, and so you've all proven yourself along the way, and you've shown that your craft is, really honed, and you're at the edge of it.
Well, I would like to think so.
Well,
Some critics don't think so. But
I know, but you know what critics say. Critics are there to make you think and work harder, I think.
Well, we're there to make them work hard.
So there. We have a film clip because I wanted to see some of your work on film so that the viewers can see you in that way. Then I want to talk about more of your stage.
Excellent.
Could you tell us what we're going to see?
This is an excerpt from a film called The Rhyming Zoo, which was shot, it started the day that the riot broke out, and we had to postpone it. Because of the equipment that UCLA had rented for us. It was a UCLA extension film.
Oh, so it was in Los Angeles.
Right.
The Los Angeles riot.
And it was filmed by a wonderful director, a new upcoming director by the name of Michael Brewer. and it stars my good friend Meshack Taylor and his wife Bianca.
Oh, good. So, we'll see that now.
Yes.
I have to go to work today.
And you promised to take Susie to the zoo, too.
I couldn't take her anyway. It's going to be pouring rain in 20 minutes. And we would just have to turn around and come back. Honey, Daddy's sorry, but he can't take you to the zoo today because it's going to rain. And they close the zoo when it rains. Hey, I know. It's Saturday. I'll bet you there's some real good cartoons on right now. Why don't you go watch them? I'll take you to the zoo some other time. Have a nice day.
Did she ever get to the zoo?
No, Susie didn't get to the zoo. My character was a workaholic, and he was into everything except his family. But eventually he learns from his brother-in-law, who Meshack plays, that his family is to be valued.
Good, and that's what we think too. Now, we want to talk about roles cast for certain people, because when you took the Oleana role, it was a role that was played by a white suburban professor.
Preppy.
A preppy.
It's being played. It's being played all over the world. It's being played in Germany, and Penter's got a version of it in England. There's a version in Chicago. It's everywhere, and they're all being played by white guys.
So what happened here in Los Angeles?
David Mamet thought that this was a role that I should play, and because I lived in Los Angeles and it was being done out here, why not Lonnie?
Oh, Lonnie lives out here.
Lonnie lives out here.
I see. So that was the thing. It was quite an uproar with the Center Theater Group, the Mark Taper Theater, because they felt, I'm interpreting this, maybe you should say
They, to quote the newspaper, which actually, to tell the story correctly, the newspaper started the controversy. They printed the controversy. We had decided, they had decided that my casting brought up issues that they obviously were uncomfortable with at the Mark Taper. David Mamet thought it was a delicious blend of casting, that it would raise these issues. I think that all these issues should be raised. So when the paper called me at home to ask me if I thought it was racism, I responded that it wasn't, I don't know if they are racist, but this is the way racism works. Whenever a physically challenged person or a minority, a woman, a Jewish person, or black is denied access to the status quo, then that's discrimination.
But the point is, that's a role that can be played by
anybody,
any kind of professor.
Of course.
I mean,
Yes.
professors aren't just white, preppy, sweater-wearing, pipes-puffing
Well,
professors.
would you please tell the Mark Taper form that?
But the point really is that you have that professor, be he Asian or black or African American, whatever you want to say, has been educated.
Yes.
He's there teaching the
Yes.
same way as anyone else.
Yes.
He's put in his dues.
He's part of the establishment.
The thing that I thought when I first saw you, I thought this is going to raise all these different layers of creating problems. But I didn't feel it created
Good.
it. You were just the professor doing your job.
Well, that's what we want.
And I think that's what it was. This film that you just showed us, The Rhyming Zoo, could any of those roles be played by different people, do you think?
Sure. I mean, it's the idea is universality. There are white workaholics. There are Korean workaholics.
Right.
There are Buddhist workaholics. There are Jewish workaholics. I think that we need to strive for universality in this time. And one of the brilliant moves that David made in writing the play and in casting me in the play was that these issues are going to be talked about. They're going to be argued about. And I think that argument is necessary for us to move on from where we are.
Have you come up against any of that type of thing in film where you would audition? Would you just go to any audition?
No, I wouldn't.
But do you think there are African American roles and Asian roles and white roles? Why wouldn't you go to any audition?
Well, number one, Hollywood is a closed shop. You just don't go knock on the door. You have to have an invitation. I feel as though any role can be played by an actor. depending upon whether it's a family situation or not, and their bloodlines or genetics are involved, but certainly any role can be played by any actor or woman.
Oh, exactly.
Anyone can play anything.
And it takes just maybe a little rewrite or a little...
It takes, you're talking specifics now. In the case of Oleana, the issue was that how can a white student lecture a black professor about prejudice and discrimination and economics? And of course she could.
I was just going to say, why wouldn't she?
Of course she could. Well, I don't know why. This was the issue that was raised.
She was a strong, pushy kind of individual.
And she got
thought.
backing from her group, as she says, and they put her up to it.
Right. So she actually took on a different kind of persona. I wonder how she could have been played by anyone too, that role.
In fact, the Mark Taper looked at black actresses, but we didn't want black actresses. We want
You mean against you?
Against me.
Yeah.
We want this. We don't necessarily want the controversy. We want you to think about these issues.
I think it's a brilliant universality.
I love it.
I think it opened everything, and I think, as you said, it's playing all over the world. Before we leave, tell me if you prefer stage or film.
For my soul, I prefer the stage. But for my pocketbook, I prefer being in the movies.
Do you have to do anything different if you're preparing for stage?
Sure. The focusing, the thinking, the preparation daily. You have to be at half hour at 7:30.
Oh.
So you're thinking your lines, you're thinking the traffic, you're thinking, should I eat before, should I eat after?
Yeah.
There's a lot of preparation that goes into stage every day.
I would think so. But then when you get to film,
yes.
somebody's just telling you what to do?
Yes, kind of. Well, except if you work with David. Certain directors let you, David doesn't tell me what to do, basically. This is the scene, this is the action, these are the words, and you just say it and do it, and it gets filmed.
Do you write at all?
Yes, I do a little writing, but I'm sort of intimidated by David and all of the wonderful writers that I know. It's like, why should I put my 2 cents out there? You know, they're doing a real good job of it.
Well, we want to see you start writing.
Well,
so write yourself some roles.
I'm writing something now. I'm actually writing something. I have a writing partner. We're writing something now.
Great. I want to thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Lionel
Thank you
Mark
very much.
Smith.
That's me.
Lonnie.
Lonnie.
And thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having
thanks
me.
to all of you for being with the Joan Quinn Profiles today. See you next time.